How involved are the parents in that pursuit with your clients?
You get a lot of that family pressure. I ask about the motivations and it's like, oh, my mom's on my case or my dad's really like disappointed. So I try to separate that family dynamic from what their motivations are for marriage. Because I mean, you know this too, Jeff, right? From the Introspect Club stories I've been listening to, you can't change or force a feeling or do something for somebody else. It's only going to last for so long. I think that's like the real imposter syndrome. You can only make other people happy for so long.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but at the same time there's a lot of influence that comes from an entire culture of people, so I imagine like that's always going to be in the back of that person's mind, right? Which is probably why there's been so many like extended lineages of Indians who had arranged marriages, because it was, you know, preceded by the family. Like, hey, we're presenting you with these options, marry this, and that's been like the cultural thing, right?
Yep.
I imagine the, you know, family members from your past, they've gotten arranged marriages. You're Indian, right?
Correct. Yes.
So were your parents in an arranged marriage?
I was actually lucky enough to have an amazing example of a love marriage is what they call it. Basically my parents found each other
and they had to leave the country to make it work.
They did. No, there was a lot of family drama. You know, one person's from a good family, one's from a not. They didn't run away from the country, but somebody else had to facilitate their marriage because my grandparents were not about it at the time. So I was lucky enough to come from an upbringing of somebody who exhibited free choice in their marriage and went against norms. And maybe that is playing a part into why I decided to do matchmaking now as an adult and kind of make that my career and ambition, because I know that it could work. Like the ideas of arranged marriage, yeah, they were rooted in security for the family, progressing the lineage, but there's more that a human being needs than just that evolutionary concept, like love, fulfillment, potential. All of that also drives us as creatures. And so again, like I said, I was just blessed to have that story in my life through my parents' example.
Yeah, your parents,
but not a lot of people were.
Yeah, your parents were pretty much like trailblazers, because if your grandparents didn't agree with their marriage and they basically had to run away and for lack of better words, like go to a different facilitator of the marriage, that speaks volumes to how much pressure you know, is put on Indian individuals, especially young individuals who aren't really familiar with themselves, to like be married and so on and so forth, right?
And my mom tells me horror stories about how her extended family members would talk down to her dad about how can you let her get away with this? She's ruining the name. Like it was a lot of drama and trauma as well that they had to go through. And again, like I said, I was blessed because I was able to process that my entire life and have that as my narrative. But I also, growing up in the culture, had aunts and uncles who did have arranged marriages. I have cousins who had arranged marriages. So I do see it, and I have experienced it secondhand, if not firsthand.
Were you ever pressured by any family members to be in an arranged marriage at any point in time? The
second I turned 22, probably.
For the second you turned 22, they're like, here are suitors. This person can breed.
Literally, like, he's got a job. He's alive. We know his family. Get married. And you're like, is that that's not how it works.
But is that all it takes for like ancestors or just family members to find somebody qualified? Like what do the elders seek as qualifying things for marriage, and what are your clients or just any, you know, modern Indian, what are they typically looking for that's different?
If you talk about to the older generation, they'll always say, we just want a good family. We want a suitable family. So and that is so coded.
They don't care about the individual. They care about the family. It's like the kid could be a deadbeat idiot, but the family is a strong name and it's reputable. Like what?
Exactly. And it does happen. I've heard of so many divorces and things happening now in this, now that we're empowered, because the parents got them married and the guy turned out to be a dud, or the girl never actually, actually had the career she promised she was going to get. Things like that happens all the time, because when you only have parents talking to each other, they're going to present the best light, and they're always going to be like, my kid's amazing. And so you're judging it at the family level to the point where you're like, oh, my mom would always be like, do you know who so-and-so's grandfather was? I'm like, I don't care who his grandfather was. Like, what does he do now? What are his merits and qualifications? That dichotomy is still present.
Okay, so but what are the modern Indian singles paying attention to that the elders weren't paying attention to?
More so that compatibility, right? I don't think our elders ever took into account, like, are these two going to get along? Will they love each other? Will they create a nurturing environment for the family that they want, if they want to create, right? I don't think they thought of that. They just thought that if everything lines up on paper, what could go wrong, right? But modern, my clients are like, I want somebody who gets me. I want somebody who speaks my love language. I want somebody who's going to support me, somebody who understands what I've been through and kind of like wants to experience life together, and just a lot more conscious decision making in the choice of the matter. Yeah.